Hey everybody, Dan Mortimer with eXp Realty bringing you another weekly real estate market update. This is for Henderson and Las Vegas real estate markets with data as of August 4th, 2025. July has come and gone. We are now into the late summer months and school's getting ready to start, and this year continues to just zoom by. It's crazy. So there are a few numbers that will be a little bit different this week compared to what we would call a somewhat normal week. I'll try to provide some context, but let's go ahead and dive into the data for the last 7 days, and I'll share some of my thoughts with you on it as well. So first and foremost, getting into the new listings, we had 1,003 new listings hit the market in the last 7 days. This number is a little bit higher than what it usually is. You have to remember, I've explained this in other videos, but most listing contracts that an agent has with a seller, they are typically going to end on the 31st of the month. Not every agent does it this way, not every seller does it this way, but generally speaking, they like to set these contracts to expire at the end of a specific month. So like, for example, January 1st, we typically see a ton of new inventory hit the market that day or the day after because you have a lot of contracts that expire December 31st. And so we see a spike in the number of new listings, even though not all of them are brand new listings to the market. A lot of them are going to be properties that had a contract with an agent. The contract expired, they pulled the property off the market and relisted it either with the same agent or a new agent. But regardless, the MLS doesn't distinguish between a listing that has been on the market for 6 months and then had a contract expire and then put it back up versus a listing that's brand new to the market, hasn't been on in years and years and years. So just some context for that long-winded way to say 1,003 new listings in the last 7 days. We also had 234 homes come back on the market in the last 7 days, which is, it continues to grow. Unfortunately, that means buyers are canceling contracts, not moving forward on purchases. Properties are going back on the MLS as active. So 234 back on the market, that is a concerning number. 1,075 homes had a price decrease of some kind. It could be any amount, but we had 1,075 of them, which is a little less than 10% of our total inventory on the MLS. So 1,075, it's a big number. Getting into the under contracts, this is the one that, again, kind of troubling. 256 properties went into under contract show status. Another 410 went into under contract no show status. So about 665 to 670. A little bit lower than what we've seen in the past. We'd had a pretty good trend of being over 700 homes going under contract a week. We've dipped back under that number and well below that number, actually, to be around the 665, 670 mark. That is a little concerning. Again, we'll see if it's a continuing trend as the weeks go on, but definitely some numbers that are starting to look a little more abnormal and a little bit concerning for our housing market. Getting into the solds, we had 691 homes that sold in the last 7 days. Good solid number. That one's not as much of a key indicator of the market because you have some homes that they go from going under contract to closing in 30 to 45 days, and you have some that go under contract to close in 7 days. So it's a little bit tough to just go off of the solds. That's really better as a monthly trend to follow that as far as like an indicator of the market as a whole, because you may have some weeks where a lot of closings are scheduled because it's the end of the month, and then you'll have other weeks where there aren't as many scheduled. So just some context for that. And then coming soon, we have 65 homes that went into coming soon status in the last 7 days. Means that they'll be on the MLS active in 30 days or less, usually quite a bit less. Usually people only leave it in coming soon for a few days while they get photos uploaded, marketing collateral, all that stuff. Getting into the active listings, we currently have 7,552 single family homes active on the market, another 1,542 condos, and 1,185 townhomes. So again, inventory continues to climb. We see the total inventory kind of ebb and flow because, again, one of the numbers that's not listed in here is the number of properties getting pulled off the market or properties that their listing expires on the MLS. That data we don't necessarily get in this weekly breakdown, but we are definitely seeing the inventory increase. It'll be interesting to see over these next couple of months how sellers react to this market. Because as we've talked about before, a lot of sellers are not in a crisis mode where they have to sell or they're going to lose their home. A lot of sellers are in a position where they have a lot of equity. They would like to move. They would like to, upsize, downsize, move across town, move out of town, whatever that may be. But they're not necessarily in a position where they absolutely have to sell. And so while it is more of a buyer's market now, sellers do still have some flexibility in that if they want to sell their home, yes, they have to price competitively. They have to be as attractive as possible to a buyer. But if they're in a position where they don't necessarily need to sell, we're starting to see a lot of sellers nationwide say, you know what, I'm going to wait this market out, pull it off the MLS, we'll wait 6 months, we'll wait a year, we'll wait 2 years, whatever it needs to be, because they're sitting on that equity, they've got a comfortable interest rate, they're comfortable with their payments, and they're not in financial dire straits. This remains the biggest difference between our current market and where things stood in 2007, 2008 when things went bust. Doesn't necessarily mean that prices aren't going to go down. It wouldn't surprise me if in July we start to see a little bit of a slide compared to the peak price that we saw in June, but that remains to be seen. So I hope you guys got some value from this video. There are 2 ways that you can support this channel. First is the easiest. Hit that subscribe button. You get notifications anytime I post new videos. I try to post at least a video a week with these weekly updates, but I'm trying to do more. Things have been a little chaotic lately. I apologize. I haven't been doing as many news videos or property walkthroughs. I'm trying to get back into that rhythm again. And then the other way that you can support this channel is I'll put a link in the description of this video. It's in the description of all my videos, where you can set up a one-on-one meeting with me. We can do it in person. We can do it over Google Meet. We can do it over the phone, whatever's comfortable with you. Gives me a chance to get to know you a little bit better, learn about your situation and your real estate goals, and we just put a plan in place to help you to achieve that. Plain and simple. There's no obligation, there's no cost, nothing like that. I'm not going to force you to buy or sell a home with me. Just gives me a chance to help you out. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will see you at the next one.